Jay, you said earlier that the talks with the Public Investment Fund have accelerated. Did the SSG investment make those talks more difficult in any way? Did they stall them? Was there anything on their side that maybe caused pause, and is why you think this is going to still take a while?
No, listen, SSG, as we went through that process, Bob, there were a number of potential investors. And we made the decision on December 7th as a board unanimously to move forward with SSG. It was important for SSG and it was important for the tour to engage directly with the PIF prior to finalizing any deal, which is why, I joined principals from SSG on a trip to Saudi Arabia to meet with Yasser and members of PIF, and that's why we continue to have productive discussions. There's a mutual respect there that I think is helpful towards, towards ultimately getting a deal done. And I think it is that level of discussion that has helped accelerate the conversations. That trip was in January.
Alex?
Jay, you said to Andrew Ross Sorkin in November that it was the best decision for the organization to complete a deal with PIF. Do you still believe that, and how does that balance against the decision you made to go ahead and do a deal with SSG?
I do believe that negotiating a deal with PIF is the best outcome, and obviously it has to be the right deal for both sides, like any situation or negotiation. The conversations with SSG, for the reasons I just said, Alex, I think have enhanced the likelihood of us reaching a successful conclusion. When you bring in a group of investors in that consortium that combined have over 200 years of managing professional sports franchises in the U.S. and internationally, and you bring in that level of expertise, I think that is attractive to the PIF, and I think that we all, when you step back from it and you just look at where we are, and for some of the reasons I stated earlier, with the game booming, becoming cooler, becoming more mainstream, it's truly global. There are a finite number of athletes, and this is a point in time, a unique point in time, where unification ultimately puts the sport in the best possible position to take advantage of this growth on a go-forward basis. And the PGA Tour has been limited in our ability to invest back into some of those growth opportunities. We no longer are with the formation of PGA Tour Enterprises, and I think an ultimate deal would be in the best interest of the game, and ultimately would be in the best interest of the tour if it can be done. And that's the spirit with which we approach the conversations and the negotiations. And I think that goes both ways.
Just to follow up, I understand it's a closed loop amongst the people that can talk about this. But when we talk to your players that are not part of the policy board, many of them feel that they don't want to see players from the other side come back. And that's obviously an important part of this discussion. If the players are feeling that way, how can you still get a deal done?
Well, balancing the interests of a membership of 200+ players, is complicated and it's challenging. And we're fortunate to have a group of player directors and a strong player advisory council with a strong system in place, where ultimately, as we go forward and we make more progress, our player directors represent our members. They're doing an exceedingly good job of doing just that. And, I think when you're in a negotiation like this and you're in a time like this, it requires open-mindedness, it requires flexibility, and it requires a long-term view and a long-term vision. And that's what we continue to try, and we push ourselves to continue for that to be our mindset. But however we end up, Alex, I think that we're not going to be able to satisfy everyone, and that goes for both sides. But what we're trying to do is to get to the best possible outcome, again, for the tour and for the game, and I do think that that's achievable.